Here's one.
Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good times, whatever time it is, and wherever you are listening. Joined with me, as always, Mr. Chris Cute.
How you do?
And Mr. Jamie Page.
How you doing?
I was going to do like a brother, sister, nun, and it didn't form in time in my head, so apologies for that one, Jamie. Well, apologies to everyone else, but anyway. As always...
He looks like a monk.
At the moment, yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
He's certainly got some kind of habit, I'm sure.
Or a gorilla. I've yet to make up my mind.
Harambe.
Bambi?
Harambe.
Okay, I have no idea.
Carry on, me neither. That's lost on me, thankfully.
Carry on, Richard.
Right, so as always, tonight's show is brought to you in part by Yorkshire Grit, Woodtone's Abrasive Paste, our good friend Chad at Mancrafting, Pam from Highland Boxes, who's also our good friend, and Steve Neelan from Harnell Media, should I say, who obviously does all the internet website stuff. You know the spiel by now. Jamie's
who's also a good friend.
They're all our friends. We love them all because they are awesome, and they all do great things, great products, etc. Obviously, if you want to check them out, and we would recommend you do, head on over to our website, megasinternationalpodcast.com/sponsors, and all the information is on there. I've got written underneath.
There's not a forward roll button either.
It could be a forward thinking, forward march.
We'll get it some year. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out.
Well, ask Steve. He must know.
Forward hysteric.
Just one of the. Anywho, I've got on my little listy thing because actually there is a list. I have got like a notes and stuff.
Cut it out. No way.
Seriously, I have. One day I'll share.
It's a big one.
One day I'll share it with the world. But it actually says, I don't even know why it says this underneath. It says something to mention Andy Pugh. I don't even know. Do you know when you read your notes back and you're like, what was I thinking?
Well, you just mentioned it. You just mentioned Andy Pugh, so congratulations on getting that part right.
It's probably a good segue. It's probably to remind me that Chris has no doubt got some random listener questions from the week.
I do, but I'm guessing you were going to say Andy Pugh because of his one-line drawings.
Have you been watching those? They are awesome.
Rather impressive, by the way, because I couldn't do that if I took it. No. I could do a scribble in one line. Really easy. I mean, I'm good at that, but to actually make a picture in one line? Yeah.
Honestly, I think if I tried to do one of those, it would look like a snail that couldn't read a map. But they're amazing. They're absolutely amazing. And you know, they say you've kind of cracked it when you've got like an artist's got a style that's instantly recognisable, like Quentin Blake. Everyone knows Quentin Blake, right. Roald Dahl illustrator. You just know. I don't want to kind of take away from what Andy's done, but isn't there an artist that's got that kind of does that style?
Well, I don't know about the style. A lot of the drawings are reminiscent of Picasso, because Picasso drew in, strange figures. I mean, so it's got those kind of earmarks, but it's not really.
And Andy said that in the chat. He says he copies other people, but he's not that good.
No, I mean,
well, Andy, do you trace it or do you actually freehand it yourself? Because if you're tracing it with carbon paper, then I'll agree with you. You're not that good. But if you're actually doing it on your own, then even that is rather impressive, my friend. So whatever.
If anyone that hasn't seen these are drawings of things, and the one that springs to my mind was there was a hand looked like it was drawing, and there was a coffee cup, and I think a computer or something in the middle. But it was all the picture is done with one long single line pen stroke. It's all basically a long continuous.
It's supposed to be a continuous movement of the page that creates a picture, and it's actually incredibly difficult. For me, it would be incredibly difficult.
I mean, I wouldn't have that kind of like forward thinking of where's it got to go next. You know, when you're doing like
you need to have
with the numbers.
Yeah, you know what you need to have? You need to have that artist's ability to look at a blank piece of paper and imagine the image, and then be able to sketch the image. And I look at a blank piece of paper and I see
A blank
a blank piece of paper. It's like I don't see.
Yeah.
I can think of what I want to draw, but I can't see it to do it. I guess it just takes practice, but and it's just something I've never practiced. So
I'd be interested to know how many attempt. I mean, because I'm assuming it's a few. I mean, it could well be Andy just picks up a pen and goes.
No, he talked about it. He talked about it. It took some practice on his part.
I bet. I mean, I'd have to do about 20 different attempts, having seen the finished kind of picture. Otherwise, it wouldn't work for me at all. But that is cool.
Speaking of Andy, we do have random listener questions because we have no choice but to have random questions today. Considering we're winging it, we have no idea what we're talking about. So everything that's being asked today is random. So let's go with. I'm gonna go with one of Andy's first, and Andy, I'm gonna use your last question first, and then we'll get to the others. And we also have some from Scott Grant and also Dale Kirkwood had some things that they wanted to mention as well. But we'll start with Andy's last question he asked, and we'll start with that first. Richard, Jamie, have you put up your Christmas decorations yet?
No, but we got them out of the attic today. Only because my sister demanded that she wanted hers out of our attic today. Now, what hers are doing in our attic, I don't
Do
know.
you keep your Christmas decorations in someone else's attic?
No, my sister keeps hers in ours.
Right, okay, that's fine. Because we keep ours in Kat's mum's attic. Because Kat hasn't really got an attic. Okay. The roofs it's a really old house with a really low pitch. Okay. And there's no access to the attic either. Except for in a cupboard, but that's by the by. So we basically effectively don't have an attic. So yeah, I always thought it was weird that we kept our Christmas decorations in someone else's house. Usually at the kind of beginning or middle of December when I'm tasked with going round there to retrieve them, because it's kind of weird just strolling into someone else's house and up into their attic and just rootling through. Oh, that's cool. Where did that come from? But yeah, no. So we haven't put our Christmas decorations up. But do you know what? That's kind of weird. Not only because of that thing that I just said with the attics, and I just thought it was odd. And there just turns out to be somebody quite close that does the same thing. Kat and I were talking. It seems to be this year everyone's putting their decorations up really early.
Well, good. So
I don't know if it's going on around the country, but I heard something on the radio the other day. I think they're doing something similar to like Clap for the NHS down in the southeast. So they're doing a thing where you all get your decorations out this weekend, and then during the week, that everyone's going to turn all their lights on at exactly the same time.
No,
kind of like a morale kind of thing, I guess.
Cool.
So, yeah, I mean, because Kat and I were talking about that. We were out with the dog. I don't know if it was today or yesterday. Sometime over the weekend, we were out walking the dog, and we just go, there's somebody with decorations up. Somebody else with decorations up. It's like, it's not even December yet. It's really early. And
you know what? I think people are just looking for anything that would give them a bit of cheer.
Do you know what? That's exactly what we concluded as well. I mean, I think if I had my tree up that early, it would genuinely detract on the day. By the time you got to even before Christmas, you'd like half an advent calendar in, you'd be like, oh, for God's sake.
I think one of my aunties had hers up in March.
Well, everybody looks at things differently, Richard, which is...
Is that really, really keen, or is that just really lazy?
Which is really weird.
I mean, it's not that weird. It's not that weird. When I was a student, true story, sorry, Chris, like according to the rules of Advent or whatever it is, if you don't take your Christmas tree down by 12th night, is it? It has to stay up until the next festival, which is Easter, which is kind of March, April time. Yeah. When I was a student, this would have been Christmas 2000 into 2001. I was never really bothered because we were all going home for Christmas anyway. There wasn't going to be anyone in the house. But one of the guys in the house decided that we had to have a Christmas tree, and it had to be a real tree. Yeah, none of this fake plastic stuff. It was going to
good luck leaving that up until March.
That is exactly what we did. Everyone was like, I don't want anything to do with it.
You had Christmas sticks by March just because all the needles fell off the door.
Well, no, they didn't. They actually stayed on the tree. But of course, when you get your Christmas tree, it comes in that big plastic sock, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Which is about 2/3 the width of a doorway. But of course, when you get it in your living room, you chuck it in the bucket and cut the thing off, and it all goes skadoing, and the branches stick out. It then becomes 2.5 times the size of a doorway, doesn't it? Well,
And then
in this,
when you're dragging it back out the doorway, yeah, okay, I know this story already. Go ahead.
so, of course, as it goes through the door, the branches, because you pull it like bottom first, don't you?
Right.
All the branches are kind of flexing back in, and then one by one, as they go through the door and get on the other side, it's like fa-doing, 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 and all these branches, and then like thousands of needles. And I'm not joking at all. There were needles everywhere. Like they just fly in all directions, all up on the top of the cupboards, behind doors, behind underneath things. And all year we were finding bloody pine needles in this.
And they don't even
house
smell
in
anymore.
Farnborough.
So yeah, they don't even smell anymore.
Oh, it's just it was horrible, and it was all because everyone went like I'm not really bothered about having a tree because I'm not going to be here. It just seems a bit of a waste of time, and we're going to have to take it down. No, you've got to have a tree. Got to have a tree. I was like, fine, but you can get rid of it. Yeah. Then it's like, you're going to get rid of it. Yeah. And then nobody
got rid of it.
Just like, I'm not doing it. And the longer it went on, the worse it got. And in the end, we're like, look, we're just going to have to get rid of this. And it was horrible. Don't do it, people. Just get a plastic tree. Trust me.
Good Lord, I bet that was a pain to get rid of then.
Oh, I'm gonna freak everybody out and say, sadly, I'm probably not going to be putting Christmas decorations up this year. I know.
Have you got to that age, Chris?
No,
I'm not being. I'm not being facetious.
nothing.
It's a genuine question.
It has nothing to do with age or. No, I'm gonna be by myself. So what's the point?
That makes sense. I mean, because I've noticed as people that I know get older in years, they just get to. My parents did it. They were like,
"Why do you have to keep associating me with this thought?" That's
no. Honestly, because
I'm not that old. Someday I'll tell you exactly how old I am.
I know you're not that old, but you've got a son, and your son's grown up and moved away, isn't he? Yeah,
my son is 24 years old. Yes, but
so when your son was 24 months old, Christmas was awesome. It was like a big family thing.
Absolutely.
It was just like the Victorian Christmas. Yeah, and everything was exciting. And I bet you went absolutely hell for leather to make everything perfect and decorations galore. And you were like the big Santa in the garden and every like Home Alone style.
I put lights in the house, but I never had the Santa in the garden. There's just couldn't do it.
But what a pain to put all that stuff out and take it all in. You did it for the kids. Now the kids have moved away and they're not around. And you're like, do you know what? Let the family down the street do that. And I'm totally going to be like that, 100%. I'm not dissing it at all. But that's what I mean. But you get to that certain point and you're just like, really?
I'm at the age of what your parents were then, Richard. Whereas my parents now are at the age of the 24-month-old kid. Especially my dad.
Well,
my dad loves Christmas.
They say, I love Christmas. Christmas is one of my favorite holidays. But you do get to the age, and I'm not there quite yet, where you start reverting back to your childhood, and then all of a sudden, oh boy, there just can't be enough Christmas stuff. Well, anyway, so that was Andy's question.
People are saying in the chat, where's it gone? Emma's the mum of Dragontail Turn is I'll be fed up by January. Needles everywhere. 100% agree with that. And then
we should do a Christmas Day pop-up podcast.
Buy a fake tree, then no worries. Trust me, I was adamant about having a real Christmas tree in our house every year up until about 3 years ago, and I finally went, to hell with this. It's just too much trouble because I had to take that thing out to the dump. It was just, I went, honey, we're buying a fake Christmas tree. We're going to buy a good one. It's going to look really nice. But
I've actually got a good tip about that. All you got to do is you quickly burn off all of the pine leaves, and then the trunk of the tree you turn into pens.
That's not a bad idea.
Turning pine into pens?
You stabilize it.
Well, okay. All right. You can stabilize pretty much anything and then turn it, but I guess, no. I save pine for, like,
you could turn a pen to everyone that came to Christmas dinner or something like that. Or nowadays it'd be one.
It'd be the turkey, or the ham, or the prime rib, whatever you decide to have for. Yeah, exactly.
Have you guys ever had pine needle tea?
I don't know.
No.
Why would somebody know? What?
No,
You sound like
seriously, it's a thing.
You sound like Yule Gibbons. You remember who Yule Gibbons was? He was this old fart, and he goes, "Pine cones. Yes, some parts are edible." I'm like, this dude was like a friggin' nut. He would eat a tree if you let him. He was a friggin' beaver.
Seriously, it tastes amazing. It's really nice. You get like a actual pine tree, not a spruce or anything like that. So back in 2005 and 2006, I had a chance to go to northern Sweden for a couple of weeks, cross-country skiing and like proper out in the middle of nowhere. And
Jamie, brew some coffee. Richard needs to sober up. Go ahead.
No. This is 100%. And you basically pick the needles fresh off the tree there and then, and you boil it up in water, and then you get the pine needles out because basically like you would with tea leaves.
Do you know how much resin is going to be in that tea?
No, not in the wood, in the actual needles, in the green needles on the tree. You pick them off the tree, and you put them in the water, and you boil it up, and then you can drink the water.
You can drink that.
Absolutely, 100%. We've done it, and it tastes amazing. It's got loads of diet health stuff in it. What do they sell? Antioxidants and vitamins and all that kind of stuff.
Vitamins,
but
as
literally,
you call it.
when you're up in you're really up in northern Sweden in the Arctic Circle, fresh off the tree, pick it off the tree like you would an apple in the garden, and it tastes amazing.
No, I think I'll pass.
100%.
I believe you.
Carl Jacobson says gross.
Yeah,
honestly,
exactly.
It's not at all.
Oh, yeah, gross. Thank you, Carl. I appreciate it. Fellow American, God bless you, Carl. I'm so outnumbered here every week. It's just crazy. Got a question, and it's a serious question from Scott Grant. I guess I'll answer this first and then let you guys kind of chime in. His question is, when you're selling your creations, excuse me, either at craft fairs, online, or shops, do people consider a mate's rate? In other words, is there a friend's rate? Is that a reasonable thing or not? And if you do, if you were to do it, what would you consider a reasonable discount? He says he always finds himself selling items to family and friends at silly prices, which don't even cover costs, and a figure. It's usually just a figure he plucks out of his head. Scott, I can tell you the answer to this, having done it several times. Number one, I don't sell to family. If the family wants something, I give it to them. If it's a friend and they want something, I will normally do that as well. However, there are limitations. I mean, I'm not going to build somebody a friggin' hutch and spend 2 months building this thing for them. So, I mean, they're going to have to pay me something. But normally what I do in those situations is I tell you what, let me make it for you. I'll give it to you, and you pay me what you think it's worth. I don't put a price on it. I let them come at me with the price. And I've told this story before, and it came from a friend of mine that I actually worked with. He was a good friend of mine. He had just recently gotten married, and his wife had an old cedar chest that was her great-grandmother's. It was one of those round-top cedar chests that had copper strapping all around it. And this thing was well over 100 years old. And he wanted me to completely refinish this thing. And I tried to talk him out of it because the patina and, I said, as soon as I do this, Jim, I'm gonna ruin the value of this piece. You know that, right? And he goes, I know, but she doesn't care. She wants it to look brand new again. I tried to talk him out of it. I went, okay, I'll do it. I said, when I'm done with it, you guys pay me what you think it's worth. And I'm thinking $200 they might pay me. I got done with this, and he was so impressed with the job I did. He paid me $700 for a refinishing job. So yeah, it's always a lot easier to put the ball in their court, at least in my experience, Scott. I wouldn't do it. I would put the ball in their court and then see what they come up with. And you're going to have some cheap aunts and uncles that are going to go $4. It's got to happen. But if you plan on making it and giving it to them regardless, then $4 is just an added bonus. So I mean, it's just an easy way to keep yourself sane when dealing with people like family and friends. But you guys, Richard, Jamie, feel free.
I'm basically exactly the same with you, Chris. I find it very hard to put a price on giving it to family and friends. You're going to get people that's going to come and say, what would you charge for this? What about it to me though? It's so I'm always like just give me what you think, And they say no, give me a price. And I'm like, no, you just tell me what you think. And often the vast majority of the time, it's actually come back. They've given me more than what I would have charged them anyway.
Yep.
Because they don't know how much has gone into it.
And if you feel so kind, if you had an $8 price in your head for a pen that you turned, and they turned around and gave you a 20, give them $12 back and go, no, here's $12 back, man. Don't worry about it. I'll just take the $8. It covers my costs and we're good.
Yeah. But I mean, a lot of the stuff, like the big scroll saw projects that I've done, every one of them I've given away to charity.
Because if you, cause that's a lot of work, and trying to get a price for that from a family or friend, that would be difficult.
So a funny thing about that. So even not to, my mum, was it my mum? Yeah, I think my mum's asked me how much it would to be to do the tiger or something like that, and she come out and said like £20, and I was like, "Are you serious?
Are you kidding?"
And then there was a lady at Kempton Park when I was doing a demo for Record Power said, like, how much would you charge? And I said, well, it's not for sale. And then she turned around and said, well, I'll give you £50 for it. And I was like, are you serious?
They really have no clue.
Like, that they've got no clue. But it kind of depends on what you class your work as. Like, for example, another guy on that same situation, when I was at Kempton Park with that same lady offering me £50 for that tiger, he turned around and says, well, that's artwork. That's at least £200.
The only way you can get people to grasp that is if you tell them how many hours it would take you to do it. And then if they still think $50 is a fair price, and turn around and ask them, would you spend 12 hours at your employer's business knowing that he's only going to pay you $50? And normally they go, no, I wouldn't. Now you have your answer. So think about that again and come back, come talk to me.
It's kind of a weird one, because whenever money comes into
it just makes things ugly.
It always has potential to make things ugly. Yeah.
Well, with family and friends, it can really get ugly. But I mean, with
anything, to be honest. I mean,
that's true.
I'm not a massive fan of these kind of how much so and so makes on YouTube.
I don't care.
Videos, what you can really make on it, how much you can make from selling these on the videos on YouTube, because a lot of the time it's I'm not kind of putting down the video. It's just they don't interest me, purely because it's so subjective and it's so like impossible to quantify.
Yeah.
Because there are so many variables anyway. My view is, when it comes to selling anything, when it comes to kind of doing a job for anyone, friends, family, stranger, customer, whatever, that's between me and the client or the family member or the person. Yeah,
right.
And sometimes, like Jamie said, you made a really, really good point. That's artwork.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you're talking, and actually loads of people, when you look at their Instagram accounts, they classify themselves as artists. They don't classify themselves as woodworkers, wood turners, potters, glass people. They're artists. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to art is only worth
what you feel it's worth,
what the buyer is willing to pay.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't matter that it took Van Gogh his entire life. Like, what makes a Van Gogh or a Picasso any better than Andy Pugh's drawings that we were talking about earlier?
Who's the guy who painted the ceiling in the Sistine Chapel?
Exactly. It was like, it's art. It's subjective, and I'm willing to pay this much for it. Like, I wouldn't give you 20 quid for a Picasso. Well, I would if it was genuine and I could sell it on. But do you know what I mean? It's like, to me, it's not worth 20 quid because
if I could spend $1 on it, I would.
Yeah, exactly. Because it does nothing for me. There's this old saying with art. You know when you're in the presence of a genuine Van Gogh, Picasso, or whatever, because it does something to you. Yeah. Compared to a reproduction of the same image. I've never been stood in a gallery and looked at these pictures, just because it doesn't interest me. Other things interest me. So art is only what the buyer's willing to pay. So it's kind of, I don't really see, and not wanting to detract from what Scott was saying originally, I don't see what it's got to be up to you. Give it away, sell it, whatever you're comfortable with. Do you know what I mean? It's
Andy Hill called you an uncultured swine.
I mean, again, that's absolutely. I kind of am actually.
Thank you, Andy. I appreciate it.
Yeah, okay. I'll let you have that. But there are other things that interest me.
Oh, that was brilliant. That may be like if we ever did like teases for the podcast, that would be it. You uncultured swine.
There's like
God bless you, Andy.
That's the line from Toy Story, isn't it? Yeah. You uncultured swine. When he's talking to Ham.
I want to give this, and I want to give this out to the chat as well, because Dale Kirkwood, who always comes up with brilliant things, and don't let it go to your head, Dale. Nobody thinks you're brilliant. Well, maybe I do. Anyway, because he was responding to the title of the show today, which was going to be, Let's Wing It. He said, professionally, we use a process called Agile, which puts together the story points, which are the major planned elements, then breaks the build into sprints, which is with each sprint tackling tasks to meet the story points until the project is done. He says it's not quite winging it, although if you watch somebody using this method to build something, it may appear to be so. And he was gracious enough to give us a link to it, and I'm going to post that in the chat now. So if anybody's interested in having a look at what Dale's talking about, the link is there in the chat for you.
This isn't actually something I'm familiar with. I'm just looking at the picture.
He seems to know his stuff, this old Dale.
Yeah, occasionally.
So while everyone's off looking at that link, and we can carry on talking, so I came across a video today by Matt Esley, and basically what happened was a few issues went on in his life during his he was moving house, and things happened and such, and he ended up living in his workshop for 10 days. And
hope you knew how to make a bed.
My question to you, one of the funniest things is where he put his bed was right above his head was a massive knife.
Oh, God.
That was up on the mezzanine, wasn't it, in his workshop?
Yeah. So my question to you boys is, and the chat really, is could you live in your workshop for, let's say, a week?
Yeah. I mean, somebody would need to do beer runs for me, but yeah, I mean, because when I'm done working in the shop, I'm going to want some sort of entertainment. And if that means I have to, have a few pops and entertain myself, then I'd like to do that. But yeah, I could do that. I mean, yeah, that wouldn't bother me. I mean, too much. I don't watch a lot of telly or television for the American audience. I don't really, I'm not a boob tube kind of guy. If I have my computer's out in my shop, I can YouTube and online view anything whenever I want. So yeah, I could do that. I mean, I wouldn't get bored. Let's put it that way. I don't think I'd be finding myself twiddling my thumbs.
Yeah. So when I say live in the workshop, that means eat, sleep, use the bathroom, you have a shower, the works.
Well, I'll probably go without the shower because I have no shower facility in the shop, and the toilets I'd just have to open the door and go. And there's a pine tree that's not too far away from where my shop is, and just practice to try to hit that.
So Matt didn't have a shower either. He had to like jerry rig one outside.
Having slept in some rather unpleasant, unsanitary, and just downright disgusting places over the years.
Cambridge ain't that bad.
No, well, actually, you'd be surprised.
I thought that was a rather posh district. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway,
well, it can be. Yeah, I mean, I can genuinely say you kind of get to the point where it doesn't matter whether you've got another hour to go or another year to go. There's like it's about a week and a half, probably about 10 days. But you once you get through that, because it's like, to start with, it's horrible. Yeah, and
it's getting over the hump.
Yeah, and you're sort of sitting in your nice centrally heated, air conditioned, warm or cool living room, thinking about this, going, "Oh, that's disgusting." But honestly, you get to about day 8 or 9. And it doesn't matter whether you've got another 8 or 9 days to go, or just months, or you just don't know. It makes no difference, because you just kind of go with it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I guess that's maybe how people that are forced into that situation kind of put up with it for as long as they do throughout the year.
If you don't have a choice, it's not hard.
Yeah, the body survival tactics kick in, I suppose.
Yeah,
I mean,
what's hard is knowing is if you're out in your shop and you know just on the other side of that door is a warm house with a nice soft sofa, and then staying out in the shop just because you want to do it. That's hard. But when you're locked in the shop and you can't get out, then it makes things, I think, a bit easier. But I don't know if I could spend 10 days in my shop. Quite honestly. I mean, I could, but it wouldn't be my first choice of things to do.
I can think of better ways to spend the week, if I'm honest.
Well, it's not on not on my bucket list. Let's put it that way, okay? It's just not.
Yeah, I guess I'm fortunate to have an ensuite.
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, you've got like all the ablutions facilities there.
I've got a heater now, internet up there. Yeah.
I remember years ago joking with. Do you remember Laney Shaughnessy?
Laney.
He built a Murphy bed, and I think it was one of the first Rockler sort of sponsored videos where they had like a Murphy bed kit for those non-Americans. A Murphy bed's like a fold-down bed. And he built his in his workshop, and I was like, "You're never going to leave now, are you?" Because that was at the time when he built his big workshop at the bottom of his garden. Like, there's no way you're going back in your house now, not ever. He got internet down there.
He did end up sleeping in his workshop for a little while, didn't he?
I'm sure
he was the on-call guy for the CNC company.
Yes,
that their helpline was his mobile number.
Yeah, what was the company? It was the one with the third axis. Forgotten. Yes, but you're right.
I have no idea.
Carry on. I've got to Google it now. I was going to do my head in.
All right, more questions. We've got a couple more for Andy Pugh, and then unfortunately, boys, we're on our own. And I've got a couple things we could talk about, but let's stay away from that if we can. And Andy, going off of the cue of what we titled this episode, he says, "Was there a time that you did wing it, and it worked out better than if you planned it?"
Probably.
My answer to that is, Andy, just about everything I make is a let's wing it type thing. I've never used plans. I mean, I've drawn my own, but I mean, very rarely follow them when it comes right down to it. So yeah, most of the time, everything I do is, oh hell, I have an idea. Let's go try. It's just one of those things.
Yeah. A lot of the time on the scroll, or 99% of the time on the scroll saw, I follow a pattern. So it's hard not to mess that up. I've winged it a couple of times and it's worked out. 99% of the time I'm winging it on the lathe. You don't know if there's any voids or anything like that in the wood. But,
You know what I've noticed, and guys, I don't mean to discredit or take anything away from the Turners, because I mean, you guys have a lot more talent on the lathe than I do. I'm happy just to get out there and play on my lathe because I find it very relaxing. But you know what I think is really is the star of the show on the lathe? It's the wood itself. And Carl Jacobson's going to cringe when I say that, but I mean, because you're taking a raw piece of wood, and then as you turn it, all of a sudden you start exposing this grain and this color inside the wood. It's like, oh my gosh. And then, it comes out looking gorgeous. And not the fact that the people who turned it aren't talented, they are, but that wood really sells it. You know what I mean?
Do you know what Cole hates the most is when the wood talks to you.
I know. I remember getting poo-pooed on that last time I said it. But hey, whatever. I mean, it doesn't talk to you. It's not like, hey, dude, what's up? I'm just branching out here. What are you doing? It's like, no, it doesn't really talk to you. But yeah, I hear what you're saying.
It sings.
All right.
Digital Woodcarver was the company.
That's it.
That Laney does.
Thanks, Carl.
One thing I quite like doing in terms of winging it is seeing an item, a project, an idea somewhere, whether it's in a video or in a store or on the backdrop of a TV program or something. It literally could be like a prop in the back of a TV set, and going, oh, that's nice. I'd quite like to make that, and rather than rush out and make it there and then, it kind of sits and simmers in the back of my mind for potentially months or years. And then going, actually, do you know what? You see a piece of timber, or you've got a piece of timber left over from something, and then it's like, do you know what? I'm going to try and make that. I'm just trying to make this as the thing, and then just wing it. Just like, I've got an idea in my head, a piece of wood in my hand, and then just dive straight in with no plan at all. Because I find that's quite relaxing, because a lot of the time somebody's saying to me, I want this and that, and it's got to have this, and it needs to have that, and it's got to fit here. So it's nice to just get rid of all those constraints and all that.
It's a lot less stress-free. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and just kind of go with it, because if it works, if it doesn't, then it doesn't matter, And so I think that also creates a situation where you end up better at problem solving, because you get into it. And hang on a minute, I hadn't thought of that.
Hold on. Yeah, we got a question regarding that. So, cool your jets there for a moment, Mr. Morey. Andy has a follow-up question to that. He says, similarly, to the previous question, was there a time when you did wing it and it didn't work out so well? My answer to that is every other time I make something, Andy. It's like every time you see me make something good. There was a time before that where I was just kind of winging it, and it didn't really work out so well. But then, you know what? That's when I try it again. And, you learn from your lessons and you move on. That's when you learn.
So I've actually got a couple of examples sitting up on the shelf there that haven't quite worked out, but they're not completely busted. I can put them back on the lathe. It's just where the tenons have snapped off, where I didn't make them deep enough or whatever.
Right.
So,
well, I mean, Richard, have you ever tried to just go out there and wing it and found out, oh boy, this stinks. This really is garbage. Let's put it in the fire.
Yeah, I mean, there's been the obvious things on the lathe where you've tried things and they've just gone snap, and you're like, oh, okay, that didn't work. One of them actually is and this is going to be an absolute shameless plug, because my latest video that I put out today was making a rawhide mallet. And the one that you see me make is actually the second one. And if you watch the video really carefully, you can see I actually used the first one to work out the measurements for a cut on the bandsaw. And the first one I made, it works and I use it. But if you imagine like the rolled up piece of leather for the mallet head,
tightly wound.
So where you drill through that to put the handle, what I did the first time, and I don't know if it was like I wasn't thinking, because when you think about it, it's really obvious. I drilled the hole so that the center point of the hole was directly in line with the end of that roll of leather.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So of course, when you drill through and out the other side, the very end of the piece of leather, as it comes through, has got like a semicircle cut out of it. Whereas actually, what you want is a full hole.
Right.
Because that will stop it from unwinding all the way.
And having little flippy flappies on the ends, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So the second one that I made, I moved the hole across and it was fine. The first one, well, actually, it's fine because I just ended up putting 2 big long screws straight through the leather and into the middle, and it holds it perfectly. So I've got 2 leather mallets. But it was one of those things that I just went at it and then went, yeah, I didn't really think of that. Not the end of the world, but definitely yeah, maybe that wasn't the best thing.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Well. Learning process, exactly.
Definitely.
All right, back to what you're gonna begin to talk about. Andy has this question, and I don't. I think Andy, I can answer this question, but I can only answer it from my perspective. Others are going to have a different view of this. How can a maker better prepare themselves to be able to wing it in the workshop or elsewhere? My answer to that, if you guys don't mind me going first, Andy, I think it comes with experience. At least I think so. I mean, because we've all learned that certain methods, with whatever you're doing, I do woodworking, you may do metalworking, other people maybe do pottery, but you learn that certain methods work. And sometimes when you're, out there just winging it, you have to apply those methods in circumstances that they may not have originally been intended for in order to get beyond it. And I can't really give you a for instance off the top of my head, but I think the best way for a maker, if they were going to learn a certain way to work, as far as just getting out there and winging it, I think a lot of it has to do with experience. I mean, because we all know, or at least self-confidence, that I've got enough confidence to go out there and do this because I know, more than the average Joe sipping coffee going down the street. And that I think that helps. I think confidence is a real builder, but I think knowledge is what gives you the confidence to begin with, and that just comes with experience and practice.
Yeah. So reading manuals is going to help as well, especially if you get new tools. We know a lot of males that aren't used to reading manuals and think they can wing it.
Or instructions in the back of cans of finishes.
Yeah, there you go.
And we're all guilty of that. Let's not be so smug as to know
well,
that.
Have been guilty. Learn the lesson. I read the manual and I do read the can.
There's a little bit of a chat about no such thing as winging it. It's letting inspiration take the lead, and then practice. People are saying, and
that's kind of winging it, though, isn't it, guys?
It is, and I think what I was going to say is it kind of is almost what I was going to say about it, but from a different angle. And I think that one obstacle is confidence that people are also saying about talent and having the kind of confidence in your abilities and so
not talent, skill,
talent, whatever word you want to, ability, there's loads of different words for that kind of area, but also pride. I think being able to put your pride on a shelf just for a moment, it doesn't have to be on show. We're not talking, somebody was talking about winging it in lives. If you're just in your workshop having a play in your own time, I've genuinely put my hand up. I'm sure other people can attest to this. I don't really want to do that because what if I mess it up? Is that sort of a bit of self doubt, I think just putting your pride on, just pop it on a shelf for a minute and just go, do you know what? It doesn't matter if I mess it up. It's like, so what?
I remember having that fear. Many years ago when I was a kid, I was playing with my dad's 2x4s and the plywood scraps he gave me. But, when I actually got a nice piece of maple and a nice piece of walnut or something together, I always was a bit taken back because I didn't want to mess that up, because that was, in my view back then, I was a kid, that's expensive wood. Was nervous about using it because I didn't want to screw it up. Today I could give a flying, but back then I cared.
Fortress.
I was hesitant, and kind of, I was hesitant on how I approached doing it, even though I had done it, several times with pine or whatever wood I was, cheap wood I was using. It's just, you get to be a little more cautious when things cost you money. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've all got those expensive bits of scribbled blanks or bold blanks. I'll be like, oh, I'll save that for a special occasion. And I've got.
In other words, you're trying to get your courage up.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely, and that's what I mean about kind of put your pop your pride up there on the shelf for a moment, just for a few minutes, just to because what's the worst that's going to happen? The same is true. I've had ideas for or had desires to build things, and I'm like, I really want to build like that little 3-legged stool, and then I'm like, I don't need a 3-legged stool, and then I'm like, so what? You want to make one?
Make one.
And you end up having this like little kind of one-to-one with yourself, going, but I haven't got anywhere to put it.
Give it to somebody. Give it to somebody who could use it.
Exactly. Like, get over yourself. I mean, Jamie's probably. In fact, anyone that's got a lathe is like this. I've got 1, 2, 3. I've got 4 kind of things that I've turned. 3 bowls and like a segmented goblet thing. And I made them. Like, I didn't need to make them, and I don't need the bowls. Like, what am I going to do? Like, do you want a bowl? No, you've already given me 4. They could just end up on the fire. And I know people are going to go, but honestly, I've got like loads of scraps. They're all made out of scraps of oak left over from this, that, and the other. The stuff's just taking up room.
Give them to charity.
I know, but who wants to like a? What they're going to do? Like stand
somebody
there?
Somebody who doesn't have one, Richard. If they don't have a bowl to piss in or a pot to pee in, they could appreciate having a pot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, totally. But then, and I'm not saying that's not a good thing. I think realistically, that's unlikely to happen, and that's probably a bad thing to say to admit. But
put your logo on it with your YouTube channel under it,
and then it would be worth just for the file, wouldn't it?
Put it in his shop. All of a sudden,
give it away in a video. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, maybe it just end up.
I want a Richard Morley bowl. I really do.
You can have one. Like, there you go.
Okay, I changed my mind. I've seen the bowl. Never mind.
But also likewise, it's a good. I've just looked at this. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see? It's just an oak bowl there. Yeah.
Is that oak?
This is English oak.
Wow.
And the plank grew. It came from Ickworth House, but I played with it on the inside. I don't know if you can see that with some.
Oh, that's really nice.
The grain fillery type. This is Rubio monochrome. It's like a floor stuff, so you get that sort of limed effect with just playing around. And that was sort of like, I don't need it, but I'm just playing around. Put your pride on the shelf, and I've got this stuff kicking around. It's just doing nothing. It might as well be something and do nothing than just be nothing and go off. It's
All right. Well, I mean, you know what? Okay. So I invite the chat, please, if you have questions beyond what we've already gotten in from you that you'd like to talk about today, then please throw them at us. We've got some time left. But I did want to talk about one thing, if you guys don't mind. I've got a bunch here, but I want to talk about one thing in particular because Jamie, I noticed. And I know you. Is
this going to get medical?
No.
It's something I want to talk about, Jamie. I've noticed. Whoa!
That growth coming out of your head, is that natural? No.
Nothing growing out of Jamie's natural. Sorry,
no. And I know you've had some help along the way. Look at Jamie, Jesus God. Your live streams have come a long way, my friend. And I know you had some help getting that all put together. But I have a couple questions. How many cameras do you now have in your shop?
At the moment, I've got 2, but I can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, 9, 10 if I wanted to.
Okay. Then my next question is, what interface are you using to toggle between which camera you want to use?
At the moment, StreamYard, but that will probably soon change.
I meant like if you're standing at the lathe, like because Dale does it in his lives. If you're standing at the lathe and you're taking a piece off the lathe and you're going to be finishing it in a different part of your shop, and you've got a camera set up there, you have to change the camera. So I mean, do you have one of those little interfaces? I'm just asking.
No, I don't at the moment, but they're called a Stream Deck.
Stream Deck.
Yeah, so I'll be getting one of them soon. So all of the when Dale and Scott the Blue Light Turner done all the wiring and all that lot in the workshop. All of the wires are up in the ceiling, and that includes all of the. I can't remember what it's called. You have to excuse me if I get this wrong. CAD 4 or CAD 5. All the internet cables go up through there,
Right.
and they're all connected as well. So that basically means that that box is and that box are connected. That box is connected to that box, and such and such. So, Cat 6. Sorry, Dale just said.
Got it. Okay.
And it basically just means that I can do everything without cables running all over the floor and things like that.
Oh, I think it's awesome because I've seen Dale use it and I've seen others use it as well, and I've just thought that it was kind of a really cool thing, but I wasn't sure what the interface was and what you called the Stream Deck, and I didn't know even how to look that up until you just said that.
So Dale just said it's an Elgato Stream Deck.
Awesome. Okay.
I'm literally just looking at that. You get them in Curry's PC World in the UK. 140 quid they are. 15 button.
Yeah, so that you can get a 6 button.
Yeah, I think if I was going to do lives, a lot of lives, I would go ahead and make the expenditure. But I mean, honestly, I don't do a lot of lives, and not that I couldn't. I mean, if I ever get and want to, and I have more than because I have one camera out in my shop that I can actually plug into a stream. Yeah. But I will look into investing into more cameras and possibly a Stream Deck. But I mean, for me, but I was just curious because I know a lot of people are interested in doing lives, and I didn't know if that information was readily available. I assume it probably is, and I'm just dummy in the room as usual.
I forgot to mention Andy from AH Bespoke as well. He helped run the cables, and I've also got a Wi-Fi box up there as well. So that also helps for the internet and the camera quality as well.
Aren't you the shizzle, my nizzle?
Yeah,
all right.
Pretty cool.
Awesome. Well, quickly, guys, we have enough time left, I think, to go through what you guys have been up to. Now, Richard, I know that you've already talked about you were doing your latest video, which was cool, by the way. Was doing the mallets. What else you up to?
Well, those mallets have been done for months. That was one of those lockdown things, and then I finally got time to edit and then put them out and blah blah blah. But actually, in the workshop is, believe it or not, more sash windows. I think I'm on.
Wow.
Yeah, but I can't remember. I was chatting to earlier in the week. I first started these back in March. It's now November. That's 7 months I've been on these. Probably had.
Turnaround time's not so hot there, Morley.
Well, I mean, you say that. I mean, we had at least 2 months of lockdown where we did nothing right at the start, and then there was another couple of weeks where lockdown finished and the clients went away on holiday. They had like 2 weeks away, so that was another. It's probably about 3 months not actually been working. Plus, I've been working at the hospital and only doing half days, and that's
I totally get it. But I'm just saying, if you left my house without windows since March, we'd have had a conversation long before now.
Yeah, no, these aren't the same windows.
Okay.
What we've done two.
At some point in time, that black plastic 14, just it doesn't work.
So 14, 16 sash windows. So that's 32 sashes, and 6 of those windows also had side lights, pairs. Mm-hmm. So that's another 12. So that's 50 windows effectively between either 2, 4, 6 or 8 panes of glass. So that's a lot of reglazing and rebuilding and like a lot of work and painting as well. So I'm kind of getting a bit I'm not getting bored of them, but do you know what? It's one of those really weird things, and this could be a topic for a whole show. Do you ever get it when you're halfway through a project or halfway through a job, and you're like, oh God, when will this finish? And then 5 minutes later, you're like, oh, this is awesome! This is the best thing in the world. It's like being a Labrador. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, this is my favourite thing. It's like, oh, I'm so depressed. I hate this. This is the best thing ever. Literally, this job is like this when you get through each window. It's really, really psychologically weird.
It's like the drudgery, and I look at it this way: it's the drudgery you go through when making a project, and then you put the finish on it, and you go, oh, "I love it."
You're insert cliche.
Then you're gung ho to do it again.
So that's that. But what I'm desperately trying to get these knocked on the head before Christmas. I want to actually have pretty much all of December not doing client stuff because I've got a roof to restructure here. That's had we've just had a Velux put in the bathroom, so I've got loads of roofing stuff to do around the house. But also, yeah, I know it'll be cool when it's done. And I joined Makespace. We did the Makespace show a little while ago.
Yeah.
There's a whole thing going through Makespace about basically rebuilding the workshop and rejigging their woodworking workshop. So there's loads of cool things to come with those.
All right, cool. Let's let Jamie answer the question because
No.
I've gotten to the point where
I've done a bit of live streaming. That's all I've been doing.
Well, I've gotten to the point
Your
where
live streams rock, dude.
Sorry, I asked you, Richard. Anyway, so no, seriously, Jamie, what have you been up to lately? I know you've been doing live streams. What else?
So I've been doing a bit of live streaming. I've something that's sitting right next to me, which is massive 21-inch scroll saw, has kind of lit a spark in my ass and got me back on the scrolls. I find myself scrolling until 2:00 in the morning now.
Oh, yeah.
So I've kind of been on there until the early hours now.
Well, it's a new tool for you, isn't it?
It's not a new tool. It's a better tool, better than the one I had before.
Well, I mean, it's new to you, though, isn't it?
Oh, it's new. Yeah, it's new to me, but
of course you're gonna play it.
It's a professional version of. I don't know. I've done the old bunny ear things, but it's a professional version of the scroll saw, which means it's obviously less vibration. I can get a lot of things done better, quicker, and things like that. So there's obviously nothing wrong with the original one, but it's a more enjoyable saw to use.
I look forward to seeing the portraits you come up with.
Is that machine that you've got? Is that the ones that we used at Maker Central the first year?
Yes, the one where you pretended to cut out my tiger and I called you a bloody liar.
No, the one I spent a good while on that, working hard at that piece of art.
So I don't actually know if Kat still got it. So that's when I drew out Kat with a pencil and I actually wrote it out.
Yeah, do you know what?
Scroll sawed it out as thin as a pencil.
I bet she has. She's the sort of person that wouldn't let that.
She'd tuck that away.
Yeah.
All right, let's crack on a little bit, Jamie. Let's get you to do your little.
I just had a thought. Can I insert
Oh Jesus!
3 seconds? Seriously,
anything to delay it?
No, not at all. This is scroll saw and guest related. You know Andy's pictures with his single pen line.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you? How far could you get one of those? Do you reckon?
Not far, because you'd end up cutting pieces that would just fall out.
But then you could put them on a back.
Yeah, you could put them on a back up.
You could put them back on. Yeah, you could do that, I suppose.
And actually, I wonder if you could do like minimal crossover to have those bits, depending on what the picture was.
Oh god, that just sounds like a pain in the ass.
I probably could.
It could be a gem of an idea for somebody. Somebody might.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it would be awesome if somebody else did it. Just don't ask me to do it. That's all.
Just the thought.
Somebody could, and I'm saying nothing.
All right, Jamie, go for it.
Right, so time for Jamie's Parlour.
He's what?
I told you I was going to do it, Chris.
Even from a distance, that hurts. Go ahead.
I said Jamie's Parlour this time.
Oh my god! Please, go high.
Chris knows.
Yeah, it wasn't Jamie's boudoir.
Right. Jamie's boudoir is another good one, Richard. That'd be another good picture edit, actually.
I have to do that with a French accent, though.
Jamie's boudoir.
Jamie's boudoir. Go.
Right. So, obviously, as everybody know, or most people may know, some people may not have caught it. We had the virtual craft festival on yesterday, and from myself and Carl, I just want to go and thank everybody for participating in it. So I'm going to quickly run off the names of some of the people that was on. So obviously myself, Robbo Robertson, Richard Morley was on there, Dale Kirkwood, Wayne Wood Turner, Heidi Jacobs, Anarchist Costas, Dan Reese, Scott Hampton, Cameron Porter, Scott Grant, Andy Hill, Michael Early, Villy, Braxton Worthlin, and obviously Cole Jacobson. Another special thanks goes to Dale, for helping us out with the website and all that good stuff. But there's also a kind of a silent partner in all of this in helping arrange this, which is Robin Jacobson.
Oh,
Because
wow.
without Robin Jacobson, there'd be no one to give a kick up Carl's ass to help him send messages and all this sort of stuff to me.
Gotta love Robin. Gotta love Robin.
Thank you to Robin as well. It was an awesome day, and we will let you all know when the next one's on.
Yeah. Behind every Carl Jacobson, there's a good woman telling him what to do.
There's a good woman to give him a kick up the arse.
Yeah. She's going to put Velcro on that sneaker of hers, Carl. You might want to be careful. Be careful. All right, what else you got, brother?
So onto my shout out. My shout out. I actually found this literally as we was just about to go. Just as we joined the hangout. It's a video by Zach Higgins of NV Woodworks. He made a camo faux burl bottle opener. He got a pin badge of a plane and stuck it onto a piece of burl and turned a bottle opener out of it. And it came out awesome. And the reason it's my shout out, it kind of gave me an idea. So I was explaining to Chris, like, he's got the Blue Angels over in the States. We've got the Red Arrows. And I thought about doing like a formation kind of thing with pin badges in a piece of burl. So yeah, that's the reason for my shout out.
You know who would love that? You know who would love that would be Mark Christopher, because Mark is an aviation nut. And if we'll have to share that with him.
Yeah. So Zach Higgins is my shout out.
Awesome. All right, nice. That's it then. So Richard, go.
Yeah, I've actually got a shout out this week, and it kind of fits with Jamie's Boudoir, because this is a video by Pat Lapp. It's he did he's one of his. Have you noticed he does like 2 videos, one in French and one in English?
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Really cool. It's kind of nice. I can't speak a word of French, but it's kind of cool to listen to the French version. Anyway, he made a absolutely amazing, beautiful black walnut coffee table. He did a bit on the lathe. His mate did the flat work for the table, brought it together. Just a really simple, elegant, beautiful coffee table. And I picked that one because not only is it a great video and a great project, but also it kind of fits with what I was saying about something simple. Just make it for the sake of it. Kind of put your pride on the side. Absolutely amazing. Love it. So yeah, Pat Lapp this week. Also, you have to play spot the subtle joke in his videos as well.
Pat is demented, to say the least. But everybody loves Pat because he's demented. My shout out today, and Jamie kind of stole my thunder, was to all the people who got involved with the virtual craft festival yesterday, because I didn't get to see all of the different hours that were going on throughout the day, but the ones that I did saw were absolutely fantastic. So yeah, man, thank you. And Carl, Jamie, you guys, you probably plan on it, but it would be great to see you guys do that again, maybe next month.
Oh yeah, we're definitely doing it again. No dates have been confirmed yet, but I'm sure we'll let everybody know when they are.
Rock and roll. All right.
So, and if anyone out there fancies being part of it, just shoot me a message on Instagram, Facebook, wherever, and we'll see if we can arrange something.
There you go. Awesome. All right, Richard, I think that wraps it up nicely, my friend.
Sweet. Are we doing our kind of infrequent, but most of the time free? We're not on Patreon, but we do one for our live listeners anyway after the show that nobody else listens to, only the people on the night. Well,
we're going to have to, because I've got to tell everybody that I'm live doing a premiere in 25 minutes.
Oh, Jesus.
and Caitlin's doing a premiere 15 minutes after that.
Cool. So
I think if Jamie didn't self-promote himself during this podcast, it would just blow up. So
well, thanks for listening. If you are still listening, if you're listening live, then you'll probably get to listen for a few minutes more. If you're not, then we'll say what we like about you. Until next week when we talk about something else with someone else, possibly, we don't know yet. You all take care.
We do know, actually, but that's okay. We'll keep it a secret. Have a great week, everybody.
Take it easy, everyone.